I committed myself in my book, Keynes, The Return of the Master, to the view that the blame lies chiefly with the economists because of my conviction that ideas matter and that other people, they're not just puppets of ideas, but what goes on in their heads, what they think about the world is really provided by the thinkers, and in this case the economists, and that shapes their actions to an extraordinary degree. It's not enough to say, look, bankers were immensely greedy and that they committed lots of frauds. I mean, that's not, they were set free, that sort of particular proclivity in human nature was set free to do its best and its worst. Well, who set it free? Well, obviously regulators and governments, but politicians and regulators are consumers of ideas. They never have any ideas of their own. It would take too much. It's too much like hard work to develop ideas. You get them off menus, and you pick the ones that suit you. And so there was this chain, and I think that was the important thing. If you like, financial intermediation, financial services were set free to go beyond their rightful place, a place by which they had been restrained in the past. And I think in the periods when they were restrained, economies were much more stable than they became later on. So that's my basic answer. It's the ideas that are important. By the time you're in a hole, I mean, the crisis, remember, came on very, very suddenly. You could say it had been germinating for the previous year. Of course, people were alert to things, even in 2007. But, you know, it then hit with a thunderclap. And within a month, it was as though the whole of the Western banking system was about to be wiped out. And that's when they came in very, very fast, governments and central banks. And then after that, they had to say, okay, now we're in this hole. How do we sort of nudge economies out of it? Because economies were, by this time, on a life support system. The banks were on a life support system, and the real economy was starting to be on a life support system. So Keynes, I think, would have actually approved of most of that. I think some things he would have done in a different way. But, you know, go back to the old question. You know, that it's almost no use asking what would he have done in detail, because things have changed. But it's the spirit, his analysis, and the spirit in which he would have tackled these problems that are important. And I think he would have been on the side of expanding always when you're sliding down, rather than buttoning up your coats and saying we must tighten our belts, because I think he would have thought that would bring us even lower than we've gone.